Hey guys, welcome back to an episode of Off the Shelf. I'm Russell Time HT, and this time we found Off the Shelf was...
I shouldn't tell you this, man, Drake, but you're a good officer and you have a right to know. It looks like we're in a shooting war.
Hell. All the Russians involved, sir?
Well, boys, I reckon this is it. Nuclear combat toe-to-toe with the Ruskies. Start lever to cut off. Cut off.
Dr. Strangelove.
Or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and
Love the bomb.
Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, starring George C. Scott and Peter Sellers, I believe. Was that? Yeah, that's right. Sorry. Also, by the way, this is a Kubrick film. Pretty much everything was done by Kubrick. Kubrick, legendary director, made classics on top of classics. Truly a legendary director, and this film is no exception. This film is a black comedy war satire released in 1964, and it really touches on the whole Red Scare and the whole, missile race, the space race, the whole competition, the whole petty competition the U.S. and the Soviet Union were having at the time. And it really kind of satirizes how ridiculous and how stupid that race is, and how our pettiness and our idiocy would have led to our extinction. Luckily, the Cold War didn't lead to anything, and it was just pettiness for the sake of pettiness, which, honestly, is probably even funnier than the end of the world. So, we literally fought over nothing. But yeah, well, not even fight. We didn't even fight. We just argued. The whole 9 yards, just argued. I mean, yeah, we got into conflicts, but with the Soviet Union, we just argued. Got into races. But this film kind of touches on... So essentially, the basic gist of it is there is this deranged Air Force general who just, out of the blue, just kind of sends an attack. Just, orders his Air Force, bombers to just bomb Russia, to just nuke Russia, and then it follows Peter Sellers' characters, mainly, because he plays three characters, Dr. Strangelove, Mandrake, and the President, them trying to prevent a nuclear war with Soviet Union, right? And the film kind of follows that, as well as switching back to the bomber, the main bomber that we focus on. But overall, as I said, the film is a satirical, black comedic take on, the whole conflict that we had, the Cold War. And so basically... spoilers, even I'm just gonna give spoiler, even though this film's 50 years old. I guess I'll still have to give spoiler warning. This film ends with us killing each other, nukes going off, exploding, killing us all, right? But at the end of the film, Dr. Strangelove, he goes on a plan about how they could create mine shafts, right? And they get 10 men in there, 10 women, and then we create enough mine shafts to where we could, redo the human race. The human race will live on, and we could, after 100 years, we could reemerge onto the earth, and it'll be all hunky-dory, right? But then one of the generals goes, but what about those dirty commies? What if they have more mine shafts than we do? What if they invade our mine shafts, right? And that's genuinely something that the U.S. probably would have thought if this actually happened, because the pettiness of it is real. Because at that time, we didn't care about our own survival. We cared about, what are our enemies doing right now? Are they better than us? Are they one-upping us in some way? That's all we cared about from, the 50s to the early 90s. That is all we fucking cared about. And looking back at it, it's ridiculous, but at the time, everybody was terrified of communism. Everybody was absolutely terrified of communism. The Red Scare was real, really real. because if you were reading a newspaper, this is real. If you were reading a newspaper that had talked about communism, not even advocated for communism, just maybe talked about it in an editorial sense, you could have been considered a communist. There were court cases talking about how, like, just randomly accusing people of being communists. U.S. citizens, just, oh, you're a traitor, you're a communist, traitor, communist. Basically just stamping it onto people, right? Everywhere, left, right, left, right. Those aren't left, right, that's whatever. But, yeah, crazy. And even this film is, I just think, really good at doing the satirical take on it. Because, as I said, it's accurate. And it's just funny, right? With how it represents it. Because it's like kind of dry humor. Because at the point of what they're saying, it's not like super laugh out loud funny, but it's still like, it's, as I said, dry humor, and there's like, I lost my train of thought. Actually, hang on. I think overall, the film was very funny. I laughed at several points, but it wasn't like super laugh out loud funny, but it was very funny in the way it was cleverly written. The dry humor was dry, yet very witty. And again, as I said, the way, you kind of laughing at the reality of it, right? That's kind of why it's funny, is you can kind of believe the craziness of some of these people, right? They're not, like, over-the-top crazy. Like, the general who's, like, talking about commies all the time, super paranoid, I can believe his paranoia, because people genuinely had that paranoia. I guarantee American generals at that time had that kind of Russian commie paranoia, because they were all fucking uber paranoid about Russians and the USSR and the Soviet Union and communism. So it's all funny because you can believe the ridiculousness and the over-the-top... I'm not going to say that word again, but you know what I'm going to say. Just the over-the-top nature of their Soviet Union scare, of the Red Scare, is real. And that's why you can laugh at it. And that's why I laughed at it. And it all just felt grounded in a kind of satirical way, and how it kind of represented the America at the time and the Red Scare. Now, this film, I think, is an amazing movie. Amazing, amazing movie. It's actually one of the first 25 films to be considered for preservation in the registry because of its, significance. And I would understand why. The film is very, very well made. It is very well written. And it's very just culturally, aesthetically, and just, like, kind of historically significant for films. And its commentary is very, very deep. And it's still, like, you can still understand it if you know the history. Even if you don't, I think this film is very, very good, and I would definitely recommend it. Yeah, like, even the fear-mongering in this film that they touch on is relevant today. Maybe not about communism so much anymore, but fear-mongering is still a very huge thing in this country. Tune into the local news. You're gonna get some fear-mongering there. Tune into any news station, anything. You are going to get something that's trying to make you scared, that's trying to get you worried about something. This film, that is still relevant to this day, and whether or not you think that's a good or bad thing, that's up to you. But this film is still very much significant and still pretty relevant. So I definitely would recommend it, even for just, like, if you want to watch a historical film, right, at the time. I would highly recommend it if you're into film, and even if you're not as into the aspects of film history, still recommend it, even if you just want to watch it casually, because the film is still funny, it's still enjoyable, and it's still well written to the point where you don't need to be super into movies to enjoy it. So I would highly recommend it, just on those merits. And overall, very good movie, and I would definitely rate it, I think I want to rate it an 8.5 out of 10. Very, very strong film. Highly recommend it. And, yeah, I think I've said all I need to say. I think that's my piece. So, guys, I hope you liked this video. Share with friends, subscribe, notifications on, comment below if you liked it. And I've been Runtime HD.